Hey guys, I wanted to hop on here today for my very first Facebook Live because I want to share some tips to decorating your perfect space. I've gotten a couple of emails recently about what steps I take or if I have maybe a guide that I follow to decorate my dream space. So I just wanted to hop on here and share some tips. I've got my list so I can stay on task. Okay, so the first thing I do is make sure I have a style in mind. I think I've narrowed down my decorating style pretty good, so I take that and if you don't know what your style is, you should first discover your style. So what you'll want to do is I have a blog post about it. I can link it here on how to discover your decorating style. But chances are, whatever your personal style is, your decorating style probably goes along with that as well. But you want to make sure that when you're decorating, you stay within your style because that will help you to love your space for a long time. Not just for the time being, but for a long time. So I'll link it when we're done here, how to determine your decorating style, but that's the first thing you want to do when you're decorating your space. Take some time and get to know that decorating style. Next, you'll want to figure out how you're going to use the space. See like how your family uses the space, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, is it going to be a playroom or an office? Determine how you're going to use that space so you can get the maximum function out of it. And an example would be our dining room, which I'm sitting in right now, is actually my home office. It didn't make sense for us to have a formal dining room because we have small kids and we don't live near family. It doesn't make a lot of sense for us to have a formal dining room, so we use this space as our office. And it has perfect flow. It's a smaller space, so it didn't really work for a dining room anyway. It's right off the kitchen, so I can be cooking dinner and run in here and check emails, or I can quickly see into the living room so I can check on my kids when I'm in here working. So determine what function you want your space to have. That's really important because you don't want to decorate this whole space that doesn't align with how you're going to use it. And then next you'll want to gather some inspiration. So the go-to place for inspiration is going to be Pinterest, of course. So what I normally do is create a secret pin board dedicated specifically to the space that I'm decorating. So gather some ideas, scroll through Pinterest, anything that catches your eye that you'd like to try in that space, pin it to that secret board. You'll start gathering tons of inspiration, and once you've gotten tons of inspiration, you'll start narrowing it down. You'll notice some commonalities, certain colors or certain patterns that you're really digging, and once you get those kind of inspirational ideas and juices flowing, you can start narrowing it down and start designing your space. Okay, so just to recap the first couple, you're going to determine your style. You're going to consider how you're going to use the space, so think about function. You're going to gather inspiration, so hop on Pinterest, start pinning some ideas. If you see something in a magazine, pull it off. Snap a picture, whatever you need to do. Next, you're going to create a wish list for your space. So now that you've been on Pinterest and you see all these gorgeous homes that seem totally unattainable, you can add whatever aspects of them to your dream sheet. So just imagine how you want your space to look no matter what the cost. You'll add that to your dream sheet. So if it's, marble countertops to your kitchen, add that to your dream sheet. If it's a certain piece of artwork, like some art that you've been pining over, add that to your dream sheet. Even the small things, little accessories, all those things will go on your dream sheet. So big and small, add it to your dream sheet because you never know, you might find something on clearance or find something used that you're able to incorporate into your space that you didn't exactly expect. But when you have it on your dream sheet, you'll know you can be looking for those things once you start shopping. Okay. Next, you are going to figure out your budget. the most important part. Well, says my husband. So figure out your budget, big or small, whatever your budget is. If you have a $0 budget, that's okay. All of this can still work if you have a $0 budget, a $200 budget, a $2,000 budget for your space, whatever your budget is. You can work within that parameter. But it's important to actually have a budget. What I like to do is just create a spreadsheet for my specific space. And on there, I'll add everything that I anticipate spending on the space. And then I have a column for what I'm anticipating to spend, and then a column for what I actually spend. Because sometimes you anticipate to spend a certain amount, and then it'll end up being a different amount. So if you go a little bit over, you can kind of figure it out, later on by subtracting or taking a couple things off if you need to. But having a budget is so important because then it keeps you on task. It keeps you remembering exactly what you need to spend money on, what you're going to get for free, or what you're going to try to find thrifted, whatever. That's really important. So don't skip the budget phase because it can be so easy to just start spending, and then the next thing you know, you've spent $200 and you don't really have much to show for it. So make a budget, stick with it, and then you'll really be able to stay on task with your decorating. Okay, so the next thing you'll want to do is design a space. So I say design it on paper, but really I always design it on the computer with Photoshop. But really it's just making a mood board. This is going to help you visualize your space. So think back in the day when you used to pull out pages from magazines and paste them on, a board, or pin it to an actual pin board, not a Pinterest board. That's what you're going to want to do for this. So I like to use Photoshop. There's another service you can use called PicMonkey. It's totally free, picmonkey.com. I can link that too at the end. And I just will start grabbing images from, images of things that I found on, that work. Okay, I'm going to take my inspiration from Pinterest and kind of turn that into a mood board for my space. And that's going to give me a visual so I can take that and turn it into real life in my home, okay? So I'll link another one of my mood boards here as well so you can go back and reference. But it would be, say, if I'm decorating a bedroom, I might add to my mood board the bed that I like. If it's a bed that I already have, I would just use the picture of my bed or a picture of a similar bed. I might add wallpaper if I'm using wallpaper. I might add a plant, the bedding that I like, different patterns, colors, paint colors, flooring. Everything that's going to go into creating this space, you want to add it to your mood board. That way you can visualize it, see how everything's working together, and just really gives you a great look. And it also will keep you on task once you start going through the process of decorating. Once you're actually in it, you can refer back to your mood board, and that way you can make sure that you're sticking with the style that you've decided for yourself. Okay, so next, this is the best part because then you get to go shopping. You get to buy all the stuff or make all the stuff or thrift all the stuff that's on your mood board. I usually, when I'm decorating a space, the first thing I do is buy the textiles. So that's the fabrics, anything that has a pattern, because that's usually how I begin a room. So that's my initial inspiration. And so what I'll do is go with the fabric first, and I like to do that because that way you can, hey Lindsay, you're cute, thank you. Because if you buy the fabric first, you can carry it around with you when you're shopping, making sure that things are matching up nicely. And then also, I usually take forever when it comes to my sewing projects, so I like to have the fabric first. That way I can take my time sewing my pillows or drapes or whatever it is that I have to sew. So yeah, you want to go shopping. And then when you're shopping, make sure you love whatever it is that you buy. That's so important. And one way that I try to make sure whatever I'm buying is something that I'll really love is that if I see it in the store, I don't buy it right away. I go home, I think about it. I have to check out my mood board. Is it going to work? And then I'll either buy it online, because then that gives me time for it to arrive and I can still be thinking about it. And then if I don't like it, I can always take it back. Or I just sat on it for a few days and then I go buy it. It's so easy, especially if you're at Target. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. In the dollar section, now they have got all these home decor items. Next thing you know, you've got like a cartload full of things that cost $3 and $5, and you get out of there for $100 and you don't even know what you bought. So try to avoid buying right away. Just kind of say, oh, you know what I mean? Like keep a mental note. If you have to take a picture of it, that's okay too. Get home, think about it before you go crazy. Okay? That's my suggestion when it comes to shopping, for sure. Okay, next you want to add personality to your space. Okay, so now you've designed your space, you've started shopping for your space. Now you have to consider ways that you can add your own personality to the space. Because when you're looking on Pinterest and you're getting all these great ideas for your space, those are other people's spaces. That's not going to have you in them, right? So you want everyone to, when they see this space, they want to say, oh, that's Chelsea's space. Like, of course, I can see, you know, like her personality in this pillow. It's so fun, or, you know, whatever. You want to make sure that your personality is in that space. So I like to do that by just, you know, adding things that I love in the space, or pictures of your family. You can also, hey, Monica, thank you. You can also add, you know, like mementos, things that are personal to you. Maybe you have some heirlooms that you love, like, you know, maybe bowls from your grandma or whatever, just things like that. Special vases. You just want to make sure that there's some personality in your space where people would recognize you in that space. And that just helps you to love it more, to be honest. Because then otherwise you kind of feel like you're in somebody else's house and you don't want that. Okay, so just to recap, we're talking about how to create the perfect room for your home. And the first thing you're going to do is determine your decorating style. Consider how you're going to use the space. How will it function for you and your family? Then you'll gather inspirations, hop on Pinterest, flip through magazines, get some ideas, and then you're going to create your wish list. So you'll add everything from marble, if you want marble, to, you know, the tiniest little thing. So everything that you could possibly want for your home, you'll add for this space, you'll add to that list. And then you'll want to decide on a budget so you can stick with it. I like to use an Excel spreadsheet. And then you will create a mood board. So that's, I call it designing on paper, but it's really not. I guess you could totally just print out your ideas and then paste them onto a poster board, which would be really fun. And then you will plan and shop. So I just talked about going to Target and buying the whole store. You don't want to do that. You want to plan ahead and shop. And then you're going to add personality to your space. And my biggest tip, and it's one I saved for last, is be flexible. Be flexible. Be prepared to not find something and have to make something else work, because that happens. Be prepared for something to be out of your budget and you have to kind of compromise sometimes. And then also be prepared for things that excitingly happen, like you find the perfect piece at a thrift store for $10 instead of the one that you were going to get for $200, because that happens. So be flexible in your design, think thoughtfully, and take your time, because this space, you want to love it forever. Don't think that you have to go and buy everything all in one store and that's going to design your space, because what you really want is a look that's collected over time. Those are the ones that are timeless and last. And so these are my quick tips. If you have any questions, shoot them at me right now. Otherwise, I'm going to hop off here. And this was really fun, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, bye.